What's up, people? Welcome back to the BCMA podcast. That's the Black Clover Martial Arts podcast. It's your boy Lucky from Lucky's Muay Thai. This is episode number 38, and it's the hip-hop episode. On this episode, we have my boy MAIC D'Great chiming in about everything hip-hop, the artists that we've lost, his new projects, which, by the way, he is one of the most intelligent, lyrical hip-hop artists of our time. No disrespect to any new artists or anything like that, but there's a difference between making music and making hip-hop specifically. And what I mean by that is you can always make a beat for somebody to dance to and spit some gibberish to make them sort of, spit gibberish with you, catchy hook. But it's a different thing to actually put words and meaning behind the music and do it with your heart and your soul and have vision to proceed for the long term and having some legacy left over and a body of work that's of value 10, 20 years down the road. And for me, my boy MAIC D'Great is one of those people that you should listen to if you want some of that value. Anyway, before we get into that conversation, if you like the show, keep the like, hit the subscribe button. If you want to check out the gym, you already know what to do, www.luckysmt.com. Drop us a line. We'll get you set up with a trial class. If you like us and we like you, you're in, and we are going to rock it on from there. But let's get on with it. This is the hip-hop episode. This is MAIC D'Great. Enjoy. It's already in progress, too, so.
Consistency. How consistently do you do it? How seriously are you on it? So it's like I always loved to rap, and I was always pretty good at rap, but I never really took the business aspect of it seriously. I was just, this is what I like to do. This is what I'm good at.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I know we've known each other for a while from back in the South Beach days.
Yes.
Back when things were a little bit different. But I think since I've known you, it's always been, there's always been a musical element. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with you about you and that I didn't mention hip hop with you, right? Or that hip hop didn't come involved in the conversation. And I think that's a testament to being real about your art, about your craft. And then the music obviously is a reflection of that. So, I would encourage anybody to go and check out your music at High Society. Is that a good spot to go check it out?
Yeah. HISocietyworld.com, highsocietyworld.com.
Yeah, and there's some great music or great videos on YouTube as well. Tell me about Black Fist a little bit.
Okay, so Black Fist, as you know, in 2020, the tragic death of George Floyd sparked rage in a lot of people around the world. So I was compelled as an artist, to do my part, because there's a story that has to be told. There's a soundtrack of every time in America. You listen to like a Marvin Gaye song, "What's Going On," and it speaks of the times of then. And so a good friend of mine also told me that a good musical album or project pretty much capsules the time. It's a time capsule of this is what was going on in 2020. And so I was just compelled. I had to make the music. I had to put it out there. The mixtape was called Black Fist. So I just a bunch of songs, a bunch of speeches and skits throughout the mixtape. So it's kind of like a journey. It starts off with the Black Fist song, and then it kind of goes into like some little skits from certain movies. I don't want to name the names and have to copyright.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, it's like a musical journey, and it needed to be spoken about because we go through a lot of things in this country as Black people that people of other races and ethnicities aren't really aware of. They don't understand exactly what we go through because they don't live it. So it's kind of hard to walk to those shoes. So this was just an eye-opener for those people, and for people of our color, just something to to let us know, yes, we are strong. We do have a beautiful history, and we're resilient and stay resilient.
I feel like it was very necessary at the time, and I feel like it's still necessary. In fact, damn, I'm about to give you some flowers right now, bro. You know, there are certain artists that you can go back where, like you talked about, there was a moment in time, and I think, you know, for me, it was the soundtrack for Do the Right Thing. Because it had Public Enemy's, you know, Fight the Power on it. But Fear of a Black Planet itself was like, you know, one of the biggest records. KRS-One's music that came out when I was young. Everything was, those kind of things are meaningful to us in a way that, like you said, other people don't understand. And listen, Black Fist is right there as a moment in time that we can all relate to, that other people may not be able to. And man, so appreciate you for having the fortitude to get out there and say the things you needed to say and put it out there. And I'm a fan for real. So I appreciate you on that.
Thank you, brother.
My man. Tell me a little bit about the new project though, Planet of the Greats.
So as of late, man, I've been on a roll, knocking out projects left and right. So my latest project I dropped on 4/20. 2021 is called Planet of the Greats. So that it's a mix. My brother in Iran, Smiles D'Great, he's a good friend of mine. He's from New Orleans. So you know, I go by MAIC D'Great. He goes by Smiles D'Great. So we came together and we made Planet of the Greats. And it's a little flavor from him. It's a little flavor from me. I feel like it's nice. I've been getting really good feedback from it. It's a little different than some of my previous projects, as it's a little bit more trappy, I guess.
Okay.
It has a little bit more of a trap sound throughout the album, but it's great. It's a fun listen. It's a really fun listen.
Yeah, what was the first single? Was it Skydive or was it?
Oh, the first single for that was it's called Mighty High Society. Skydive is actually an album that I dropped on January 1st.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Man, I'll be flipping through the music, yo. Flipping through the music,
I
yo.
drop so much, so frequently. Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun project. I have a lot more singles coming out from that. The next one, if I'm not mistaken, is High Society House. It's the dope single. I'll send it to you before anybody else.
That's what's up. Yeah, man. I love it. I love it. Go.
Does your daughter do music?
Yo, real talk. She just told me she walks around and she sings these songs all the time, and I'm like, yo, who song is that? And she's like, I wrote it. I'm like, okay, because sometimes it's like, you know, the lyrics come together in a way that I'm like, man, that sounds like a pop song off of whatever radio station. And she's like, no, I wrote that. And then the other day she asked me, yo, can we start writing down my songs? And I was like, sure. So I mean, does she do it? She wants to. She's 6, man. She wants to do everything. But does she love music, dance, like all that stuff? Yeah, she's into it.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Well, hey, she's on the right track. You know, a lot of the greatest artists will just hum melodies or say something that comes to their head, and they'll either record it or write it down and then come back to it later. I've heard several like Michael Jackson demos from like Billie Jean, where it's like the demo version. He's like humming along,
right?
And he's not really saying the words as we know it. He's saying something else, and then they come back to it, and they put it together. So you know, that's cool. That's cool, man. I love that.
I told her I would like, yo, I'll show you how to use the record on your tablet so you can record yourself and you can, you know, we can write it down later or whatever. But yeah, that's where we are with that. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yo, so we lost some greats over the last few weeks, man. DMX, obviously Black Rob, you know, Humpty Hump. I mean, we've lost some greats. Everybody's got a story about DMX, which was kind of crazy to me. I don't know if you have one, but I have one, which is great.
Yes.
You have one?
I have several.
Yo, the craziest thing in the world. I told everybody, I said, yo, nobody's paying attention to this. But the illest thing about him passing is how many people have a story about him being with him, talking to him.
Like he's met everybody.
Literally everybody.
Yeah, man. DMX was a great dude, man. I met DMX several times. All throughout my teenage years, I was meeting DMX from like 15 to 17. I must have met DMX like 8 times.
That's crazy.
And he always, the crazy part is, you know, as a kid, you run up on people and you're like, well, at least the kind of kid that I was, I'd run up on them and be like, yo, I rap. And then I just start rapping. And then he'd be like, yo, shorty, yo, chill out, shorty, I'm over here. But like the last 2 or 3 times I saw DMX, he recognized me and he's like talking to me. He's like, yo, you got your tape? You got your tape for me or what? And I'm just like, not today, man. But yeah.
That's so funny, man. Yo, that's hilarious.
Yo, he was a cool dude. How did you meet him?
Okay, check it out. I have a friend of mine, Jonathan Mannion. He shoots all the pictures. So the DMX with the blood, like any of those iconic photos of different hip hop artists. I met him through another friend. That other friend had told me, like, well, first of all, my buddy told me, I'm coming to Miami. We're going to shoot DMX for a Vibe cover. You want to help out and assist? You can meet him and hang out. We can do whatever. I'm like, that's what's up. So I told my buddy used to work at former friend, used to work at Def Jam. He kind of grew up in Def Jam. And he used to have to drive at some points and drive DMX around because if you know X, you know that, or you even watch videos of him, you know he drives like he's crazy. People
like a maniac.
Like a maniac. Right. So they used to have him drive X around. So he told me all these stories, right? And he's like, yo, so when you see him, tell him so-and-so said what up. I'm like, all right, cool. Now I have a way to like sort of bridge that gap, break the ice, whatever. Plus I'm with a friend that's shooting the photos. So we go do all this scouting, whatever. Finally, it's shoot day. DMX shows up. He's getting his wardrobe, all this stuff. So there's a group of people around, but I found a moment where he was just kind of standing there. So I was like, yo, X, hey, blah, blah, blah. My boy's like, hey, this is my friend, whatever. So I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, so-and-so told me to tell you hello. And he just stopped. And like you did his voice, he goes, who? And everybody looked. And I was like, shit. So then I said the name again. And he's like, looked at me like this. And he's like, is that a boy or a girl? And I was like, oh no. Everybody's just staring at me, bro. I'm like in the middle of this fucking photo shoot. I was like, it's a boy. I gotta go do this. I fucking just took off, bro. I was like, man, I look like a fucking idiot. But we were in the process of scouting when my homeboy came by the crib. I had this giant, like mural of just a pattern that somebody had painted and given it to me. It was like probably 4 feet by 5 feet. It was big. And he was like, yo, bring that to the shoot. So we brought it and no bullshit. The album cover for the Vibe is X with the painting from my house in the background.
Wow.
No shit. And I have like, yeah, it's crazy, man. I have some photos that my boy gave me that were signed and shit of X and like, yo, it was a crazy fucking situation. But yeah, everybody's got an X story.
It's crazy how, like, you know, to be such a huge superstar and just like, you know, when I met him, so all of those times, every time he gave me like a genuine hug. We weren't in the kind of situation that you were in where it's like a photo shoot. It's just like I happened to see him on the street and he give me a genuine hug. And you know, to be such a superstar and still be able to touch the common person and like, you know, us regular people, we have stories of DMX and it's like he was still accessible and still a down to earth guy, even though he's like, you know, was such a big figure.
No, he didn't have to listen to me. He could have just blown me completely off in the moment. Just be like, bro, I don't want to talk to this guy. But he sat there, listened to me, was willing to ask me, yo, who are you talking about? I don't even know who you're talking about. I froze up. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But yeah.
He didn't put you on the spot or try to belittle you or any way like that. So yeah, I admire that about X. You know,
yeah, man.
It's sad that all of the other artists that we've lost, like you said, we lost Shock G, Humpty Hump,
Shock G,
Black Rob, MF Doom.
Oh yeah, man.
The guy, one of the guys from the Fat Boys as well.
That's right.
I wasn't too familiar with his music, but I knew exactly who he was.
Yeah. I'm gonna be 49 this year, so for me, you know, I know the Fat Boys pretty well, you know.
Right. Yeah. You know, I'm still in my late 30s, and so you know, just a little bit.
Man, look, man. All right, we're gonna move on, bro. I ain't gonna talk about age no more. Yo, so tell me about your what martial arts experience you had. Since you know, some martial arts podcast, you got to touch on that a little bit.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be able to go to some of your classes for a while.
Get out of here, you crazy.
I was fortunate enough, and I thank you. I'm still like trying to get to 500 sit-ups a day. I'm still trying. You know,
so many of my students are gonna laugh when they hear that part, yo. They're gonna laugh when they hear that, yo. For real. Yeah.
I'm sure they are. But so I actually grew up loving martial arts as long as I can remember. My uncle would sit there and watch every single martial art movie there was with me as a child. So I grew up with this real love for martial arts. Of course, my mother wouldn't let me because she thought that I would be a bully and then I'd beat up everybody.
Oh yeah.
It's not about that. So years and years ago, maybe early 2000s, I saw a movie that changed my life. Can you guess the movie?
Ong Bak? It's the yo. If you would have told me before that, I would have said like kickboxer. I can definitely know when people got into Muay Thai or kickboxing by the years. Because Ong Bak came out and everybody was like, "Yo, I got to do that."
Yeah. Tony Jaa really he put Muay Thai on the front stage, on the front page for those of us who didn't know. So yeah, once I saw that, I was like, "What style is that? I have never seen anything like that. Anything so effective. Anything so not just." With the potential to be so brutal if needed, you know. And so not too long after that, I met up with a brother that was teaching several styles of martial arts, and I told him I was interested in Muay Thai, and he was like, "Well, that's actually the second martial art that I studied and picked up." And so I trained with him for a while. He ended up getting into a major accident. He was riding his bike and got hit by a Ford F-150 or something like that. Yeah, and he survived. He actually landed on his head, and they had to like take a chunk of his skull out so he could. So you know, the head was like pulsating, so it didn't like.
Oh burst. Right, yeah, the swelling. Right, yeah.
So they took a chunk out, and like half his face was like this. Then they put like a plate back and like rebuilt it.
Yeah.
And you know he's in like North Carolina now. Shout out to my boy. Shout out to my boy Rob. He's in North Carolina now. He's back and he's training and he's doing all of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm sending a shout out to Rob too. That's what happened. You do martial arts, you might make it through a F-150 truck crash.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't know anybody in this world that could have made it out that besides him or maybe you or somebody that's serious about their martial arts. It just showed me like, whoa, this is serious. But I have a real profound love for martial arts. Muay Thai, of course, is is my favorite. I have others that I'm interested in for other reasons. I find capoeira fascinating for different reasons
and historic reasons. Yeah,
historically, I love capoeira, and as a matter of fact, there's a movie that I'd like to tell you about. It's called Besouro.
Tell me again.
Besouro. Besouro. So that's a movie. It's based on a true on a fact on a guy. His name was Besouro, of course. He was a slave in Brazil, slavery times. He ended up getting away, and what he would do is he would go to all of the plantations and burn the crops in the middle of the night. And they hated Besouro, but they couldn't get him because his capoeira skills were elite. And so they could never find him. They could never hurt him. Yeah. Great story.
Check it out.
But yeah. What about yourself, man? I'd like to know more about your martial arts background, like when you started, all of that.
I'll give you a quick one because this thing it's long. But I used to play Little League. And I also used to grow up in the south side of Chicago. I was born in 1972. The Kung Fu Theater, Bruce Lee, all of that stuff was on the weekends. And man, I was in love with it. You know, it touched me in a different kind of way. And also during that time, there was a lot of black martial artists. You know, there was a lot. And then there were a lot of black people walking around the neighborhood in Kung Fu outfits.
Really?
I'm not a lot, but you know, there was one
like Bruce Leroy style.
Yes, yeah. This is not a joke. It was like, you know, during the time where there was some blaxploitation films, but also there were just black martial arts films. And Bruce Lee, people were into it. So one day I'm walking in my Little League, and in the clubhouse, I see this dude who's probably in high school at that time because I was probably like 8, maybe 7, and he's doing nunchucks in the middle of the clubhouse. And I look inside. It's a dojo, right? So there's an office in the front, but just beyond that, it's a door, and it's a dojo. And I'm watching him do this, and I'm like, yo, they teach it here. They must.
Right.
So I talk to my coach. I tell my mom. My mom comes to tell my coach. Turns out that my coach is the actual instructor, right?
Wow.
It's karate, right?
Yeah.
But he actually did teach it. He actually taught Taekwondo, but I don't, there's a lot of, I think he taught a couple of different things and mixed them together.
Okay.
But that was my start, man. And I learned a lot. I got my ass kicked a lot because they were guys that were there that had been going since they were children that were really good. I went to a couple of tournaments. My uncle had told me when he found out who I was training with at that time. I was a kid, but he's like, I know Carlos. I met him at the park when I was going to play ball. He was kicking the bark off of trees. I said, okay. Yeah, and it sounded about right because he was pretty hard, man. He was not an easy go.
Trees. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I started. And then just, you know, after we left Chicago, went to Texas, I just kind of would train with whoever. I was, you know, punching in the air. If somebody said they trained, I was like, yo, what did you train? Show me stuff. And then when I got to Miami, I had a moment that something just happened, man. I ended up in that gym. I kicked the bag and went, oh shit, I forgot. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And from that moment on, it took over my life. So, or I just embraced it. You know, I said, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know where it's going to end up, but I never at any point let anybody tell me that it wasn't going to be a certain thing. You know, at some point I said, I'm going to own a gym. I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a dojo. I looked at people and told them that, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Right? It's always like that. But the idea for the person doing the thing is like, yo, just keep going. Doesn't matter what they say. Just keep doing what you're going to do, and everything will work out the way it's supposed to.
How'd you get specifically into Muay Thai?
Man, it was a culmination of things. So when I first started at the Clevelander, there was this bartender Keith was there teaching, and he was teaching kickboxing to just people from the Clevelander at noon, like 3 times a week at South Florida Boxing. My girl and a bunch of people, bartenders and barbacks, went all the time. I was going to the park to play basketball for like 3 hours at a time. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. Acting was kind of out of the picture at that point. I was like, yo, I came from a basketball background family. So, like, I'm just going to, maybe I can work hard enough to try to get on somewhere overseas or just, I don't even know. And then one day it rained. I couldn't go play. So she'd been saying, come. So
Yeah.
I went, I kicked the bag. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I started doing that. Somebody knows that I'm doing that maybe, I don't even know, 6 months later or whatever, and was like, Randy Couture's fighting, whatever. Who's going to win? Chuck Liddell. And I'm like, Randy Couture. I had literally no idea what was going on or who was going to win. But that's when the UFC sort of kind of like came back into my, because I had seen stuff when I was younger. I actually even knew a dude whose dad fought no holds barred fights in the streets with people in like back alleys and shit back in the day.
Super hardcore.
So yeah. So once I started getting into the UFC, I started to find out this is what you have to do. Listen, man, my plan back then was I'm going to learn how to do jiu-jitsu. I'm going to learn how to do Muay Thai. I'm going to do some competitions, and then I'm going to fight somebody. And then I'm going to open a gym or train. I didn't know what I was doing. But that's how it started, man. I started seeing people fight, and I was like, yo, I can do this. I really had no idea what I was doing. I just kept doing it, and eventually I knew what I was doing.
Nice.
Nice. But yo, man, I'm like stoked to have you on. We got to have you on again. And yo, for real, I don't know if I want to try to get one of your songs you already made, or if you got a little something you could throw up that I can
specifically for you. That's the least I could do. Man.
Yo, please go ahead. I'm listening.
I'd be happy and honored to make a song for your show. And as much as you want to talk to me, I want to talk to you. I want to pick your brain as well. Like I have questions. What do you feel about this fight? The potential fight coming up with Floyd Mayweather and what is it, Paul
and Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
It's sorry, I got nauseous real quick. It's I didn't. The honest thing of truth. It's an exhibition, right? So if you want that kind of entertainment, then you go get that kind of entertainment. It is what it is. Do I expect anybody to win? No. I mean, it's an exhibition. Do I expect that if Logan Paul goes in there and tries to crack Floyd, that he won't turn up on him? I mean, I wouldn't go in there fucking around trying to, I would go in there and box and have a good time and, maybe try to show some little bit of stuff, but I would not go in there and show any ego. Although Logan Paul probably outweighs him by 50 pounds.
Yeah, he looks like a big dude. It's kind of small.
But I still wouldn't go in there effing around with a dude that could probably light me up from every position and every angle. Like, it doesn't make sense to do any of that. Just go have fun. Maybe try to show, how to do a little sidestep and little, I don't know.
Yeah.
But don't go in there trying to win. Like, win. You go in there and box and look good, but don't overstep what you're, you got to know what your range is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Floyd is like up here when it comes to defense and
just psychology. Angle. Yeah. You're not gonna beat him if you're trying to match him mathematically.
Right.
So I don't know. It should be that. Listen, they've done these things forever. I talked about it on the last show. It used to be like you go to the carnival and they're like, stay in the cage with the bear for 30 seconds and win, $10 or whatever. But you know what I mean? Yeah. It was always like, who can take on the strong man?
Yeah.
So like, and this is an entertainment kind of thing. The only problem that I ever have with this kind of stuff is when the entertainers pretend that they're doing what the real people are doing. Like if somebody put out a hip hop show,
mm-hmm.
right? Where they can win a music deal, a certain amount of money, right? Even whatever kind of show, and it's just some random dudes, not like some real hip hop artists that have been working their whole lives, and then that person wins $5 million, a record contract, a new car. You know what I mean? You're like, bro, I'm still with my Newports and my tracksuit. Like, what? I don't understand, how is this possible? But it's not the same thing that they're each not doing the same thing. Now, if that person wins all that and goes, yeah, I'm the best rapper in the world, I just won this contest, see what I got, then it becomes like, that's a little disrespectful to the people that really work hard, really do it. So that's it. That's it for me, man. That's all I got.
Okay.
But enjoy, man. Entertain. Listen, man, you can come on the show whenever you want and talk about whatever you want, man.
I appreciate you so much, man. I appreciate you, man. Hey, and I will be working on a track for you. Please be expecting it probably like next week.
So like in like 3 months then, because I know how studios go. I know how studio time goes.
I have my own studio, so I'm waiting on a piece of equipment that got broken. I'm waiting on a replacement so that I can make it.
All right, I don't know how you're going to fit me in all them 35 tracks you're working on right now, but I'll take it, brother.
I got
everybody, this is MAIC D'Great. Yo, tell them where to find you real quick.
Yo, MAIC D'Great. You can find me on Instagram, High Society MAIC. That's H-I and MAIC, M-A-I-C. You can find me on High Society TV on YouTube, HighSocietyWorld.com is our website. And hey, man, I'm everywhere. Much love to everybody. And thank you, Lucky. Much love to you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, MAIC D'Great, we are.
Yes, sir.